Hi everyone, this is Hayley. I'm one of the speech and language therapists from school. Thanks very much for logging onto this video. Hopefully you'll find it useful. I'm hoping that it will explain to you a little bit about why we use visual schedules at school and why it would be useful to use it at home and how you can do that. So this is a nice little visual about why visuals are so important. So I think a common misconception is that if a child can talk to you and you can have a conversation and they can follow a simple instruction, that they don't need visuals because you can tell them what's going to happen and they'll remember it. But that's not true. Visuals help everyone. I myself need written to-do lists and a calendar with important meetings on so that I don't forget, and that just helps me know what's expected of the day. I can write that out in the morning of what my schedule is and what I need to achieve, and I work quite calmly then throughout the day. If things pop up unexpectedly, like a meeting that I've forgotten to write down, or someone throws a new job at me that I wasn't expecting to come, it can make me feel a bit anxious because the day's not gone as I planned. And that's the same for some of our students. So having visuals helps everybody. And some of the points that I think are quite important from this visual is that visuals are permanent. So you can refer back to them. Spoken words disappear after you've said them. And if you didn't attend to it because you have difficulty drowning out other things that are happening in your environment, if you have difficulty storing information, recalling information, or applying it to what's happening, to the here and now, then you're going to really struggle to process that verbal language. Whereas a visual, if it's permanent and you can refer back to it, it's always there. You've got more time to understand what's going on and what's expected of you, and it's not going to disappear. Visuals also help build independence. So if you can show a child what it is you want them to do, and give them a list or a visual script that they can understand themselves, and they can work through that independently without you needing to be there to constantly remind them what it is they need to do next when something's finished, then that's going to help build their independence, and that's a great skill to have. There are some other bits on there that you can have a read through. Some more benefits of visuals, again, in a nice visual. So as we've said, it can reduce anxiety, it can help build self-esteem through having independence and being able to work through things yourself. It's available for referencing throughout the day. It helps prepare us for changes. So if your child is sat watching Peppa Pig because that's their favourite TV programme, and you come in and you say, Peppa Pig's going to finish in 2 minutes and then we're going to go to the shop. You might think that you've prepared them for the fact that Peppa Pig is going to finish in 2 minutes, but if they have difficulty attending to what isn't the most obvious stimuli or the most interesting stimuli to them in the environment, they probably haven't listened to you because Peppa Pig is far more interesting. If they have difficulty storing or recalling information, they're not going to be able to hold that piece of information in their memory, and then when Peppa Pig finishes, know that the next thing is to go to the shop. And again, if you've got that visually, it's always there, they can refer back to it. Provide structure and predictability to the day. So if things change, so for example, on Wednesdays, they always go swimming, but one day the pool's broken. And so at the start of the day, you've told them the swimming pool's broken, so we're not going swimming, we're going to go to the park instead. And they've got that on their visual schedule for the day. It helps them understand that something's different, and they can be aware and anticipate what's happening throughout the day. Eases transitions. So these are some examples of some visuals that you could use for scheduling. This is for our sensory pathway. So the one on the left is object cues, and this is for children who maybe don't understand photos. So recognising that a photo of a toothbrush which is a 2D representation of what's normally a 3D object, represents the same thing. That can be quite tricky for some of our children. And then using a symbol is another step up from that. So they might use object cues, or if someone's got a visual difficulty, they might use object cues as well. If you'd like to start using object cues for daily activities, please contact myself or Barbara, because we'll need to go into a bit more detail, because you have to be quite strict about how you implement them and when you use them, and we'll have a chat with you about what some of the object cues might be. Something else that you could use for our sensory pathway is just a simple first and then. So you'd show the child, first we're going to do this, then we're going to do this. When the first thing's finished, you can take it off the timetable so they know that that's done, and then they can see what it is that they're going to be moving to next. For our semi-formal guys, they can probably cope with a bit more information. So you could have a strip for the whole day, like on the left, or a tick list of pictures for activities they need to achieve, and you tick it off as you go. This one on the left is quite nice and mimics the ones that we use at school. So every class has a whole class timetable, which they use for either the whole day or for a morning and then an afternoon, so the children can see what's happening. And when an activity is finished, they're told it's finished, it comes off the timetable and it goes into the finished wallet. So that's really nice for teaching children. One activity is finished, we're moving on to the next, so sequencing and time. And this little now and next strip in the top could be portable, so you could take it with you when you move around the house. So they can just see the things they have to concentrate on now and next without having to focus on the whole day. And then our formal pathway guys would cope nicely with that full day strip or an activity schedule, but those who can read or write could do their own to-do list, and they could have their to-do list written down and they tick it off as they go. Or you could even try using a full week calendar, like this one on the right hand side. And this is quite nice for helping children understand when it is they're going to respite, or when they're having after party, or when favourite activities like swimming is happening during the week. And again, you could take the activity symbols off as the day's finished, so they can see Monday's finished, tomorrow's Tuesday, and this is what's happening, then I've got one more day until horse riding, for example. Top tips for using visuals: consistency is key. It will not work if you use it one day and then not the next. The idea of a schedule is that it helps build anticipation, it helps build a routine, it helps them understand one thing's finished, I've got to move on to the next. And so therefore you need to use it all the time with everywhere you go. So, you know, if you go to stay with family members, take the visual timetable with you and use it there as well. Don't change things on the timetable once you've set them up without warning. So if in the morning you get up and you set the timetable up with the child or the schedule, and you're essentially preparing them for the day, if something's going to change, don't tell them when that activity was supposed to happen, but give them warning. And it might be that you have a special oops symbol or something that you put over that activity that's going to change, so that they can visually see that it's not happening, but then make sure you tell them what's happening instead. And again, make sure that that's visual on the timetable, whether you swap the symbol over or you cross it out on your to-do list and write what's happening next. And try to keep the visual in the same place so that if they're able to, they can go and find it themselves. We all tend to put our calendars in the same place, so we know where to go to when we need to check what's happening next. So yeah, for those children who are mobile, it's nice to have it in the same place so that if they want to go and check it themselves or refer back to it, they know where to find it. So if you want any visuals to put a timetable together, please get in touch with myself or Barbara using our NHS emails. We have Boardmaker Online, which is a symbol library, and we already have on there resources for visual timetables for use at home. And we can set you up with an account so that you can access that from home and print it off, and then you can start using it. Thanks very much, and yeah, please drop me an email if you need any more help or have any questions.